fucking ball. Everybody, I'm CJ. Sometimes I think generations of comic who theoretically topping the industry in these trying times and significantly older than me, or who still, they are mid to upper spectrum, and they mostly discovered stuff with their friends. I'll give you this in exchange for those baseball, exchange for candy, or what. That's how that generation are Gen X to upper spec and comics from bookstores and when we were really the big comic book movies took off, and for a while comics were pretty much for us. X-Men or whatever else were Hyde's backpacks in school. Tends to be how my generation or people discovered. But the thing is, that's kids today are all fewer personal meet space. Friends are online and live hundreds of miles away. They're not going to be able to trade comics. A comics book now. Comics. Strange to think about it now, but point better than when Spider-Man 3.7, there were new Spider-Man number shelves for people to pick up, or when the first in 2008, Iron Man number 1 pick up, so on and so forth. Movies and characters, and by products as a result, thing that they could buy that would feed their growing written at their level, book fan. Right? When in 2008, I'm not a Batman number 1 that was what was on some and Dick Grayson Batman. Dick Grayson as if somebody loved probably shit out of luck as there was that were coming out at that time did very much to the but now even anymore DC being managed well as it can be, while documented by now that complete bills reflect. And here's the thing, you don't have to, or there are could have done 15 20 to avoid the seeing right now. I mean, in the after, it really comics to have not seen kind of uptick in sales. The fact that they're really in sales is not the fault, because obviously they've got a heroes. So, well, is publishers just new readers? It's like the industry. It's 1992, and now comic book stores have been a source for people at decided to just forego brick and mortar retail, Walmart. Just different bookstores or, stuff like that. The industry just buys or didn't care. Bookstores are meant to cater hardcore fans. The fact is, or the inconvenient truth, is that very have probably ever been in a comic book store. It doesn't happen that way. The way it seems people is that kids would buy from gas stations or where for a little while, and then it would lead them to comic. The industry would really have. But to want to buy field and cater only as a business, if that was ever defensive in that logic, if 91 and sales are going and everybody comics, yeah, I guess maybe, I don't know, you and remember the switch 1995, basically it was that DC with Diamond Distributors, and then it was from that point on, the retail outlets were phased out. Now, I remember the whole process, but they still phased out. Who lived next growing up, really, they stopped new Amazing Spider-Man in their super, and I don't know this for a while. Comic books were ever there. So what did kids those age comic books? Probably it would have been. So in the late 90s, lower spectrum millennial, their chance to get after next, obviously, and a real to get the Zoomers. Gen Z with more money than their parents did. Platform that's still going on. It was just getting cranked up in the mid-2000s when learning how to read, but the industry just didn't prioritize. So Gen Z book movies, and those movies are based on some way or another. But Gen Z, that is, as far as I know, the to have ever seen or read a comic book. A generation and a half, the industry hold anything in it that isn't a comic book store. It's like, people still wonder legs. Think of that was spent creating and then marketing all those new Marvel number 1s that I was just talking about a second ago, back in, really all through the 2000s. The amount of time and effort that was spent making those number 1s as accessible as they possibly could be. And then knowing that they're being put in a retail outlet which is comic book stores that most people are just unlikely to ever set foot into. All that time writing, all that time drawing, all that time coloring, printing, distributing, shipping, stocking on shelves, all of that straight down the tubes. And what if, instead of putting all of those Marvel #1s back from back in the 2000s, instead of putting them on all those local comic book store shelves, they'd been in Walmart, or they'd been in the gas station just up the road from your street. It's a new #1. You just saw Spider-Man 3, and hey, look, here's a Spider-Man #1 comic book. All that time with all that time and money with this kind of half-ass outreach to new kids, new collectors, new readers, and all that stuff. As long as they're willing to set foot inside of a comic book store, then you're willing to meet them on their terms, but not unless. And I just can't help thinking, you know what? Maybe this is a well-deserved extinction. Anyway, that's all I got. That's that. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, make sure you're still subscribed, comment, like, and share this video because it really helps me out. Also, you can find me on Twitter at Cole Loves Comics.